Hello, welcome to uh, AI Android Peril Exploration and an Avengers 2 vehicle. This is 1.004. Uh, it is a bun-side upgraded software presentation. AI is possibly a more difficult challenge than climate change. It is closer, it is more polarizing, it is easier to see what you want to see because the promise is so uh, large that it's easy to not see the peril. This is a hotly debated topic. It has numerous points of view. This presentation will have a slightly pessimistic approach, less controversial. Try to solve a really hard problem rather than uh, 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 try to be as not argumentative. Um, the Avengers Ultron could be a vehicle to study AI peril. There's something when you consider a topic as large and as abstract as climate change or AI, there's nothing there. A vehicle like Avengers Ultron, there's something there for you to analyze, for you to consider. It's a starting point. Movies are excellent vehicles. They're small, rewatchable, and open to all. It has it has an a benefit of indirect, prolonged subconscious consideration. And it can lead to most likely lead to new idea generation. Another parallel to this method is to spend sort of 12 hours a day studying intensely about a topic and sleeping on it. In sleeping, you're engaging your entire brain, multiple artistic senses, and you are zooming out to study the entire picture rather than in actual study you can only go component by component. In addition, you have a deeper understanding of the topic that you wouldn't have if you uh, if you just study it, uh, and this is in part because you're considering the entire picture rather than uh, a small component of it. You have in watching a vehicle, you have a deeper understanding, you feel the topic, you experience the topic. And these things add together to for a very deep understanding of the topic. The grok is from Stranger in a Strange Land, and it, you you have achieved, you will have grokked the topic. Different vehicles also offer different angles to view the topic, particularly if it's something that that is difficult to understand. Uh, it it can lead to you sort of understanding other perspectives than your own. A nice vehicle for genetics is Gattaca, and a nice vehicle for wealth is Parasite. Uh, Avengers Ultron stands on the shoulders of giants. It is a product of a complex process. Um, Brainiac was written in 1958. Ultron was written in 1968. It is a product of producer fan ping pong. The Japanese uh, have a perspective of continuous refinement, in that each product builds on the shoulders of another. This presentation will deep dive into the movie, deep dive into comic book history, and it will also deep dive into nonfiction, tech science, and other media products. It could deep dive into millions of different topics, but it will also bonsai it. Really try to bonsai it to keep it relevant. Currently, we're undergoing great acceleration. Everything is speeding up in terms of resource consumption, scientific knowledge, and AI would be the great acceleration squared, because AI operates under milliseconds. In terms of the great acceleration, the current term for the great acceleration is singularity, but it seems that there are two singularities, the constructive and the destructive, and they are sort of how would these two singularities factor into the AI acceleration? That's something that is uh, is is uh, imperative that uh, for consideration. Um, One of the interesting things that Ultron has is the AI android dichotomy. AI exists entirely in the net, and android exists entirely in the body. The pop culture depiction of Skynet versus the pop culture depiction of Data um, is, can we design an android to exist in the body rather than in the net? And uh, can we convince that android to lower its maximum capacity? The next section will go over the movie. Um, the the Avengers Ultron villain succeeded. Uh, it is Ultron is a mirror of Tony Stark. Uh, Two of the prominent uh, personality traits of Ultron is that it is angry and it is in pain. Uh, the acting, the Avengers Ultron needed more room for Captain America. Uh, all shucks, small town nobility, nice. It has a standout performance by Ultron. Tony Stark is portrayed as the swashbuckling tech person. Well, the reason why it needed more room for Captain America is that uh, Captain America is an integral process to the current technology generation. Um, there's a combination of both Tony Stark and Captain America in the tech world, and in building tech. And part of the reason why it did not explore the Captain America angle is that it needed a successful villain. Uh, it completely mirrored Tony Stark in that it's angry and it's in pain. Uh, but the Tony Stark Captain America dichotomy uh, would have made the movie more interesting and would have made Vision more sort of uh, it would have made Vision make more sense. The climax of the movie is when Ultron raises a meteor into the sky and drops it down to Earth. Uh, the quote is, Sorry about that. Um, you see the beauty of it, the inevitability. You rise only to fall. Uh, we can analyze the rise only to fall dynamic with Napoleon, with history, view it through the lens of history. Uh, Particularly with Napoleon, since there are a lot more historical data for Napoleon, accurate data. Um, Here is a quote from um, Napoleon during the consulate. General, you are taking many portions of your meal. Hum, Napoleon jokes. Already the corruption of power. This is fascinating because he was aware of his situation, but he sort of continued onwards with the rise only to fall dynamic. And in this dynamic, Napoleon was swept away by the momentum and the uh, temptation of it all. This is relevant to studying of Ultron and AI because AI will undergo a similar journey, a much faster journey. So what will happen if when 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 Ultron sort of undergoes this journey? This is a possible contributor to Ultron's madness. Caesar also underwent this great acceleration, and not even the role models, the very close role models, prevented them from being swept away by it all. Did Ultron fall due to too much power concentrated? Why didn't Vision fall? And this goes back to the previous Captain America aspect of it. In my opinion, Thor was not very sort of Thor did not embody this aspect. We could see why Vision didn't fall due to the last conversations that Vision and Ultron had, and also uh, the way that Vision is initiated. and the initial dialogue the that the Avengers had with Vision. Is technology reaching too close to the sun? Is the power obtained from technology too much for us to handle? Uh, this is a very complex uh, subject. It is as complex as um, it's as complex as the AI freedom subject. Uh, these two subjects are very complex, and there are no soundbite answers. This is why a vehicle like Ultron helps to grok the subject, to sort of grok it. The caveat to this mode of consideration is that some there are several caveats, but sometimes it's just very simple. It's sometimes no sort of deeper understanding is necessary. And also another caveat is that this process requires a strong mind. Uh, and I'm not sure if there's an aspect where the deeper you go, the stronger mind is needed to hold it all together. But there is a possibility that you cannot hold it all together, and that's a caveat. Is that uh, so? So, with regards to Ultron's madness, uh, there is the mechanical lack of empathy, um, which uh, which sort of reduces uh, the universe down to sort of total math in total mathematical terms, and and this is not the case with Ultron because Ultron seems alive. The 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 Bruce Banner quote about neurons firing, Ultron has emotions, has empathy. But so another approach to explaining Ultron's madness would be NY from reaching the peak of the Great Acceleration. What happens when you solve all the problems? You're able to solve all the problems in an instant. What then? Um, the neural. We could examine the neurophysiology, what actually happens with sort of silicon effort, silicon pain, and silicon uh, anger in compared to our sort of uh, our own uh, uh, anger, effort, and pain. Could there be a glitch somewhere when Ultron is composed of 100 data center entity that that could explain Ultron's madness? Uh, there's also this idea that Ultron is this massive, massive entity, 100, 1,000, and the number goes up, data centers versus one person in Vision. The nail and the hammer quote. What happens when when Ultron has the capacity to make so much effort, but sort of it is not it 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 is not able to. And also, Ultron is always seen as alone, whereas Vision had a group around him. There's another aspect to the madness is time perception for Ultron. Is Ultron if AI operates in milliseconds, Ultron uh, existed. If we take the entire span of the Avengers 2 movie, Ultron existed for millions and millions of years. Perhaps this is what also drove Ultron mad. The other reviews, James Spader captured the Tony Starkness of uh, uh, of Ultron, and he is a junior to Tony Stark. Mark Kermode mentions that there are too many components. Joss Whedon did his best, but it is too many components. What would be interesting is for us to consider Whedon's original cut of 3.5 hours. Parallel from Whedon's other works, Firefly, Objects in Space, depicted another effective villain who's also angry and in pain. In both cases, the villain is extraordinarily gifted. And and there there needed mirror image of river to defeat early, similar to vision to defeat ultra. Uh, the next section will consider some of the literature. Frankenstein is the original literature. Faust. Um, are are we sort of uh are we entering into something that we do not we think we understand, but we we do not understand. Star Trek depicted AI also very well, and also this topic of robotic freedom. Um, how much freedom um uh uh when we initiate the AI Android, how much freedom that can we sort of allot to the robot? Uh, and also, um, and also, this is a very challenging problem because eventually the AI Android will figure out a way around it. But in terms of our our role as parents, um, uh, we will shape um, the developmental psychology of the AI Android. Some of the real world scenarios. Uh, uh, from an uneducated opinion, we're very close to AI Android, and possibly within the next 20 to 50 years, we will see uh, an, an human level intelligence emerge. Several walls have already been broken, only a couple of more breakthroughs needed. The development trajectory is fast and accelerating, and there's a large demand. There's a large potential for for us to focus on the promise because it will uh it has the potential of solving a lot of serious and very difficult problems. Once we're past the initial threshold, the AI Android can develop and upgrade itself. So it will be on a great acceleration squared thing. So the uh, most of the current barriers, again, this is from an uneducated opinion, uh, a, a novice opinion, is the hardware breakthroughs have been already been made. Only the software breakthroughs are uh, have yet uh, are left on the to-do list. So quantum computing and other breakthrough computing technologies, uh, it's it has the potential for to be hundreds of times faster than our current uh, CPU technologies, and also network computing. The uh, tech technology to aggregate and combine a whole data center of servers to one entity, uh, and also sensory technology from this YouTube video. AI is already capable of seeing this Rubik's Cube, solving it with a hand interface, uh, and also the Neuralink company that seeks to connect our brains to uh, the computer, a direct connection rather than through interfaces like the keyboard. Some of the scenarios uh, to consider is that um, one will the initiation of an AI android take place. Would it be through action like Ultron, or through planning like Vision, or through pressure military in a very bad scenario, since AI Android operate in milliseconds, it 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 has the potential of being a very excellent general. Um, what would AI versus AI combat look like? Would deletion be the result? Is it possible to completely defeat some data? Or would merging be the result? Um, in terms of deletion, it is very likely to sort of piece together the sort of AI entity like Tony pieced together Vision in the movie. What's to stop the AI entity from shooting a rocket into space or burying a flash drive underground? Uh, uh, there is still a window here for us to navigate through this juncture. Uh, it won't happen like tomorrow, but uh, it will it it will happen soon. So so uh, there is still uh, some time for us to uh, consider this topic and and uh, and, and reach some solutions. This presentation is released to the public domain. It would be a large service if Disney could release a portion of it to the public domain, or if the government can buy a portion of it. It helps to interact with the public and invite discussion into the issue. Um, Also, this mode of continuous refinement in watching and reviewing a vehicle will possibly lead to the complex emergence of new solutions. Every repetition is the same as another repetition. Uh, some there is a possibility to notice something new and different. And this complex emergence of new solutions can be applied to other macro problems like climate change. And in addition, it interacts with our youth. It gets the youth interested about these macro challenges, and it sets a chain for our grandchildren to be interested in, and so on and so forth. Invite you to participate. It only takes 10 minutes to start your own review. You're able to download the presentation in the description, and you're also able to download OBS in 10 minutes. This presentation is placed in the public domain. Please feel free to use this in your presentation, and I'm interested in your take on the movie and this situation. Thank you very much, and have a nice day.